video, we'll be looking at a law in South Africa called the Employment Equity Act, which has been brought about to reduce unfair discrimination in companies. This video will help everyone in your organization, workers, supervisors, and managers, to understand what this law means and how applying it right will not only transform your company to one that is more representative of our country's rich diversity of cultures, but will also make for a better work environment for everyone. It will help to lessen misunderstandings that many people have about employment equity and affirmative action.
Jonas, these guys in your team are useless. I've got 6 requests for leave here, salary increase requests. But these guys are not even doing the job they're employed to do.
Boss, the guys have a lot of grievances since we moved to this new plant. They have a long way to travel, and it's hard for them on what they earn. Why don't you just sit down with them and listen to their problems?
I don't buy it, Jonas. We've got a job to do. During meetings, these guys have plenty of opportunities to stand up and list their grievances, but they never do it. They all just sit there quietly. Then when it comes out of the workplace, they're complaining to each other. The company's got policies in place to deal with these kinds of grievances. These guys are just not doing the job they're employed to do.
Nick, the guys say the management don't understand them. They can't speak out about their problems because they're afraid of being victimized. If there was a way for them to be really heard and taken seriously, maybe they will be motivated and do their job.
This scene you've just watched is an example of what can happen in a business when people come from different cultures with different ways of communicating. Perhaps in Nick's culture, you speak out when you're unhappy, even to people in higher positions than you. But Nick feels that employees should work hard before their problems will be taken seriously. Perhaps in Jonas's culture, you respect your superiors and don't speak out. But if you don't like them, you won't work hard for them. These are communication divides that happen in South African cultures all the time. And it's only by finding ways of breaking these barriers that we will hear one another's points of view. When managers don't try to create an environment of mutual respect, workers might feel marginalized and may resort to destructive action to get management's attention. The Employment Equity Act compels all companies with more than 50 employees to form a consultative forum which consists of people from all job levels and categories who meet regularly to talk about the problems from the perspective of the group they represent. This allows people who are normally not comfortable speaking up to have a place to point out what they see happening that they feel might be discriminatory. Now let's see what happens in the next scene.
The client has asked us to finish the project a week earlier. What are the challenges we're going to face in getting this done, folks?
I'm a little bit worried about stock. I'm going to try and give the supplier a call today and see if you can push deliveries to up to Friday. Rian, can you get the customer service desk ready for inquiries by then?
Yeah, look, that's fine. Customer service desk should be ready, but Jonas, you just need to keep me informed as to what's going on by the warehouse, because obviously if stuff's going on there, and it's going to slow down the deliveries.
No, it's all be fine. Everyone in the warehouse is at work doing what they are supposed to be doing. But Rian, you'll need to keep talking to me and let me know what the delivery expectations are.
Ouers, ek is lekker bekommerd met die straks, né?
Die storie met die strikes. Ja, want alles is op straik. Ja, alles is op straik.
Ek weet alles is op straik, maar dit lyk so vir my soos alles gaan lekker stadig.
Kom ons kyk net wat gebeur.
Ja, nee, ons
Ja,
kan maar. Okay guys, let's go back to work. Yeah? Yes.
Typical racist attitude is as if we don't exist. Nick likes speaking in Afrikaans, and he knows we don't understand it.
Ish, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere in this company. If we're not a part of that boys club, we'll never really be noticed.
In this last scene, we saw a typical example of what the Employment Equity Act calls indirect discrimination. In what way were Nick, Jack, and Rian discriminating against the other staff in the meeting? Although the Afrikaans speakers didn't directly discriminate against the others, they ignored their colleagues' contributions, and by speaking in a language that the others didn't understand, they excluded their colleagues. The Employment Equity Forum in your company would need to find ways of stopping this from happening.
If you were to get the promotion as a team leader, Mohammed, you realize that it will involve a lot of extra work, especially meeting the end of week deadlines.
Well, I must mention that I am Muslim and that I go to mosque every Friday between 12 and 2 p.m. I hope that won't be a problem.
Well, thank you for being open with us, and we'll let you know the outcome soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This could be a problem if he has to take off time on a Friday to go and pray. What do you think, Anne?
Look, for this reason I actually agree with you, because with the halal thing, I mean, he can't attend the company functions or braais, and that's not good for building team spirit.
Do you agree we should rather look at another candidate for this promotion?
Yeah, I think we should.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, my darling.
This is an example of discrimination against a person based on his religious beliefs. A company needs to make reasonable accommodation for their staff's religious or cultural practices. When deciding who is the best person for a job, the company can only look at the actual job requirements. So, as long as Muhammad does the job, the fact that his religion requires that he takes time off should not be a problem, as long as it doesn't disrupt the business operations and he gets the job done. So, let's summarize the main point of this law. It aims to promote fairness in the workplace by eliminating any unfair discrimination and implementing affirmative action measures to redress past disadvantages. The law says that companies in South Africa must make sure that their company policies and practices prevent all employees from unfairly discriminating, either directly or indirectly, against other employees or applicants for employment on any of these grounds: race, gender, pregnancy, marital status, family responsibility, ethnic or social origin, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, religion, HIV status, conscience, belief, political opinion, culture, language, birth, or on any arbitrary ground. So what is discrimination exactly? And what does the Employment Equity Act say companies must do? Does it mean promoting only black people? No. And it doesn't say you have to meet quotas for appointments or promotions. But companies need to make plans to ensure that people from designated groups get special consideration when employing, promoting, or training people. Designated groups are blacks, coloureds and Indians, women, and people with disabilities. These are groups who have been disadvantaged in the past. But the Act also says that people must be qualified to do the job. Depending on what that job entails, this might mean a person's formal qualifications or other learning or relevant experience or showing that they have the ability to do the job. Now let's look at another form of discrimination.
Here are the tasks for today. They must be completed by 3 p.m. I don't want to disappoint this client, so please get started now. Thanks, guys.
Who does she think she is? Since when can a woman tell her man? This is an insult to our culture. Men lead, not women. She thinks she's all smart now, that's because she's a manager. But I'll tell you this, guys won't listen to her. She's nothing but a coconut, I'm telling you.
This was an example of gender discrimination. Some people in a company might be against women in leadership roles because their culture says it's not right for a woman to tell a man what to do. However, in terms of the South African Constitution and the Employment Equity Act, this is wrong, and companies have to find ways to stop any staff members from discriminating against anyone else in the business. It means finding ways of changing people's mindsets. Is there such a thing as fair discrimination? Yes, there is. The law says that it is fair discrimination to prefer one person over another for a job based on the requirements of that job. It is also fair discrimination to choose one person over another simply because he or she is from a designated group, as long as they are suitably qualified. So, for instance, a company is legally allowed to exclude people with poor eyesight for jobs where vision is important, or to choose a person who has a personality that is better suited to the job. And in order to meet your employment equity targets, you are legally entitled to choose a black person, a woman, or a disabled person who is less qualified than a white man, as long as they meet the essential requirements of the job. The Employment Equity Act recognizes that many people in South Africa have been disadvantaged because they did not have the same access to educational skills that others did. This is why skills development is the most important way to apply affirmative action. It compels companies to train and develop people from designated groups and plan in the long term to help them to be in a better position to get the jobs they want. This is always better in the long run than making token appointments just to make your company's demographics look good. Manager handles a situation in which some employees are unhappy with their salaries and lack of training opportunities.
We workers are very happy with the fact that we've been overlooked for training again. How can we apply for the positions when we don't have the qualifications to get them?
I understand that you're frustrated, but the company only has a certain amount of budget that is available for training, and we've already used most of that this year on important skills.
What can be more important than training the workers? I suppose the managers were going on those expensive courses again. The law states clearly that we must provide training for the previously disadvantaged workers who have low skills to improve their job opportunities.
Guys, I remember the last time we booked training for your colleagues. Only half of them pitched up. They weren't interested in the training, and all they want is better salaries. The guys on your team who show commitment to their jobs have already been picked for many skills programs. You know that.
Yes, that's true, I suppose. It will totally be an unfair discrimination if none of the workers were being sent for the training. Tell me though, what is the company using its budget for right now?
We're doing a huge literacy drive at the moment to help the workers get general reading and writing skills, and that is in line with the equity law. At the moment, there's always someone shouting unfair when they're not getting the attention that they're looking for. Unfortunately, we have to sometimes stand back and let others have the opportunities.
Yes, I'm sorry, I actually agree with Anne. The company has to make changes to ensure equality across the board, and some people are going to get more attention than others.
In order to stay in business, companies must choose to use their training funds wisely by selecting the most suitable people for the most urgently needed training interventions. This is where the Employment Equity Forum is very helpful. They will help the decision makers and management to see where the biggest training needs are for the staff of your company, for your company's benefit, and in relation to the industry that you operate in.
Okay guys, first item on the Employment Equity Forum agenda today. Does anyone feel that there's discriminatory practices going on in the company? So come in, put up a chair.
Sorry, I'm
You
late.
doing all right? Okay. I'm opening the floor.
Yeah, the factory workers are angry because there was not enough time given to go to a funeral. In African culture, a funeral is a big community affair, and we need at least a week. That's discriminating against their culture.
Come on, I explained to you already the company policy, and I mean, the lever's the same for everyone. Everyone has different cultural backgrounds, and I mean, they all have different practices. So we try and keep it so that it's fair to everybody.
Okay, that may be true, but is anyone here being denied the right to practice their culture?
The guys do understand that the company's policy is that full-time workers can take 3 days of 3 days of paid family responsibility every year.
The other thing is, If any of the guys have a problem with annual leave or an extension of annual leave, they know that they can take it up with management or human resources.
Look guys, the thing is, if it's going to affect company productivity, then they may not be able to get more than 3 days off. But are we 100% sure that no one is being discriminated against specifically because they needed to take longer time off to go to a funeral? Because that in itself is what's not acceptable. Do you think the workers understand that the actual policy itself is not discriminatory?
No, I don't think so. But Rian, I'll tell them the company policy is fair. And if they feel that there's any discrimination, I'll take that to the committee. Thanks.
I just don't understand it. Why did they give away the promotion? I've been working with the company for 6 years. He's only been here for 4 years. Is it because he's black?
The company considered a number of things before deciding on this promotion. We looked at job requirements and length of service. But the advert stated that the person in the job needs to have a financial skill that you actually don't have. In this case, your years of experience don't make you better suited to the job than Vuyo is. It's about who will actually do the job best.
I still think I didn't get the job because my manager gave me bad references. He doesn't give me the opportunities I deserve. He's a sexist. He thinks all women can only do admin jobs. I have a real problem with his discriminatory attitude, and I want to take him to the Employment Equity Forum for unfair discrimination.
Sorry, Abida, this is actually a personal issue. The company policies prevent him from discriminating against you. If you have a problem with the fact that he won't promote you, you will have to talk to him personally. If you're still unhappy after that, there are policies in place that will allow you to make a formal complaint. If you think the policies discriminate against you, you will have to take it to the Employment Equity Forum. But if it's just that you have a problem with this one person, then it is not an employment equity issue and you should take it up with HR.
No one should be promoted simply on the basis of length of service or race or gender. It all comes down to who would do the job best. And if formal qualifications are needed, the company would need to prove that they are a requirement of the job. But if an employee has a problem with the way any individual behaves, they should refer to the company's policies and procedures to fix that. Your company's policies may aim to ensure that your workplace is fair to all people, but they aren't always able to stop individuals from behaving in discriminatory ways. That is why the company should have an employment equity forum of people from management and non-management positions who act like a neighborhood watch, pointing out where informal and formal practices might be discriminatory and suggesting improvements for the company. It is not a forum for negotiations, but rather serves as a means to agree through consultation on how to change discriminatory behavior within the context of the law. The forum should come up with innovative plans and actions to ensure tolerance and diversity. They also monitor how well the company is implementing and meeting its affirmative action plan and targets. Remember, however, that employment equity forums are not there to solve every employee's problem, but rather to create long-term plans to address any general attitudes or company practices that make groups feel prejudiced against. So, what should you do if you think there are discriminatory practices in your company? First, talk to someone in your human resources department to find out what the company rules say. Your HR department will be able to tell you what to do if someone in your company is disregarding the rules of the company or South African labour law, which all companies are compelled to abide by. If you still think that some of the actions of your colleagues are discriminatory, or that there are practices in your company that marginalize certain groups of people, talk to your Employment Equity Committee representative. They should raise your concerns in the forum meetings and try to find constructive ways to change the attitudes or behaviors in your company. that employment equity means making the company fair for everyone, which might not mean that every employee will be happy with the plans. It may take many years for people to change their prejudices, but it's only by challenging one another and coming up with better solutions to the situations that we will find ways to change our company into one that is fair for everyone. Over time, everyone will start to learn how to build a company culture that is accepting of all people and doesn't make judgments based on a person's culture, job status, language, skin color, gender, religion, age, or background. This video comes supplied with a guide to help you get answers to typical questions you might have about employment equity. Please speak to your facilitator or HR department if you would like answers to any of your questions. Copperline Training, the independent training company who has produced this video, also offers ongoing support to all staff of your company, as well as your Employment Equity Forum. Please contact us if you need any more information or help in implementing this important law in your company.